Welcome to Haken, an Animal Crossing podcast, your podcast dedicated to all things Animal Crossing. Episode 92 is brought to you by John Evie, one of our newest Patreon patrons. Today, Sergio and I will be responding to the listener mail we've received lately. So to begin, hello Sergio, how you doing?
Hi Chewy, I'm doing rather well. You know, we haven't had Animal Crossing news in a very long time, but I have this feeling that any day we could wake up to an announcement of an announcement of an announcement. That's kind of the life we're used to now. So.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, and Nintendo's been doing this weird thing where, we used to just have to wait for directs for news,
Right.
But this year's been different, I feel, because how many, and I don't know, I guess I don't track directs too closely as far as making note of how many we get, what they're about, and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm pretty sure we've only gotten 2 general directs so far this year, right?
I believe so, and that's counting the E3 one?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm,
So
yeah.
E3 and then February,
Yes.
I think was the direct. Man,
yes.
That is... it's such a bummer to have to wait so long. Luckily, they did have, I guess, game-specific directs. I want to say there was more than one. The only one I can think of right now is the Mario Maker one. Do you know of any others?
That's right. It doesn't come to mind, but I think you're right. I think there might have been something else.
Yeah, I feel like there's another one that I'm forgetting. Maybe there was a Nindy direct, right? Or has there been?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then we actually do have the Indie World, that's what they're calling, I think, in the morning, so yesterday for listeners, tomorrow for us, right?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Speaking of that, I really hope we hear more about Mineko's Night Market.
Yes.
And I really hope it comes out before Animal Crossing because, it's one of those games that's like another life simmy type of thing. You're planting crops and they're growing into cats, and then you're also running a store kind of thing. So kind of some different life sim mechanics than Animal Crossing, but still, we're not going to be thinking about other life sims once Animal Crossing is out. So I'd prefer it to come out next month or something. I don't think that'll happen though. It's the last thing we got from them was like maybe 4 months ago, and it was them saying that they'd been taking a mental health break, which is good for people to take, but
yeah. Mm-hmm.
I imagine that set them well behind schedule at this point.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but Nindies, there should be news. Unfortunately, we haven't seen them yet, so we're not going to talk about that anymore. But I did want to mention something else. Just to continue, I think it's weird that we've only had like 2 general directs, and I don't know. I guess I'm having trouble feeling like there needs to be another general direct. Like all the big games are kind of stacked up to the end of this year.
Yes.
Astral Chain comes out later this month. I think it's pretty much the very end of this month, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then we've got back-to-back games coming in September. So September, the main Nintendo one is Zelda, Link's Awakening. Mm-hmm. And then October's got Luigi's Mansion. And then 2 weeks after that, Pokemon. So, I don't know, it feels like a stacked end of the year,
Yes.
And it just, what are they going to fit news in? Like, I could see there being a final direct for Luigi's Mansion, but maybe we already got that with all of the footage from E3, because they did like the treehouse a couple times for that game, I think.
Yes, and I feel like if they do something, it might be a game specific, so it might not be part of a general direct, but I think they should have one.
Yeah. So I don't know if they're going to do like a game specific one for Pokemon too. So
right.
Like both of those are right around the corner. But Pokemon, they do a good job of kind of putting out steady info. So that's kind of been the deal right now. Like I think we got news just this last week about Pokemon. So
yes.
So Pokemon, they do their own thing. Maybe there will be a direct for that. But yeah, as far as like those 2 go, maybe, and I guess those 3 with Link's Awakening thrown in there, maybe there isn't going to be any direct stuff. Like maybe we already got what we're going to get from E3 and they're just going to like post some extra things on Twitter. And then that leaves room though for a general direct, because once December's done. Pretty much like from what I've heard, Nintendo's offices kind of empty out. At least the Nintendo of America ones do. So post like second half of December, it's pretty dead there. So I don't know if they'll do anything after those games come out, but definitely like September to like mid-October, I have a feeling there could be a direct in that point,
Yes.
you know?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Because we don't really know what's happening in January and February. Historically now with the Switch, we've gotten essentially ports for games.
Mm-hmm.
So they could announce like another port just to stick in between Pokemon and Animal Crossing, because it's going to be a good 4-month gap between
Yes.
Pokemon and Animal Crossing. So they've got to fill something there, and maybe the Nindies is going to do that. You know, maybe they're going to talk about, here are the Nindies for the rest of the year, and here's some for spring, just to fill in that calendar a little bit.
Yes, definitely.
So, yeah, who knows? But I'm getting there, Sergio. I need some news. It's been, I guess. Oh, I should say today for listeners, we're officially 7 months away from this game. No more, no less. It's going to be 7 months, and then we'll be playing Animal Crossing. That's a big thing.
Hopefully they fly by.
Yeah, I'm just hoping. I mean, it'll start to feel more real, I think, when we're 6 months away. But and even more real when we're 5. But if you want to get it realer than that, like 4 months away, I'm just going to count down to 0. But yeah, I'm at that point where I just feel like we've kind of talked about like everything pretty in depth for a bit now, at least as far as like what we've gotten.
Yes.
And I don't know, I'm starting to feel that like pre-New Horizons announcement feel where I'm just like, what are we going to do with the podcast this time? No, but we've got a good show. We've got a lot of really great questions from our listeners. And do you want to, I guess, should we jump into that, Sergio?
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. So the first one is actually a letter that we received, not physically, but digitally through my email. And I sent it to you a little bit earlier this week, Sergio.
Yes.
But this letter read, "Hey, Chewy and Sergio. I would just like to say how much I appreciate you guys and your podcast. Now Tuesdays are my favorite day of the week. You really hype me up for New Horizons, and I can't wait to watch your gameplay of it. You guys really inspire me to draw Animal Crossing pictures while I listen to your podcast, and I hope you continue it for many years to come. My question is, if you had to remove a special character from Animal Crossing, who would it be? My choice could be Phyllis, because as a kid, I always found her really mean and I hated her. Love from England, Phoebe." So there you go, Sergio. That is our first question, but also a really nice letter from England. Thank you, Phoebe.
Yes, thank you. Definitely.
So Sergio, who would you get rid of?
I would get rid of Tortimer, but it's a nice no. It's a nice thing. It's a nice thing because I want him to fully retire. I don't want him to even be in charge of the island. I just want him to have a good time wherever he decides to go. You know, he has given up so much for us and for the entire Animal Crossing series and community and everything. It's time for him to just let go completely and go have fun, you know. We can manage. We'll find somebody for our island, whether the minigames are there or somewhere else. Thank you, Tortimer, but I think he deserves a good rest and a good time off.
Yeah. I guess that's fine, but so many people have just been saying Tortimer dies in the next one. And I'm like, no, you can't, no, it's Animal Crossing. Nobody dies except for Wisp, but, you know, he's already dead. And I guess kind of the snowmen, the snow people.
That's right.
They kind of melt away, and it's a little bit tragic if you think too much on it. Because they're also, like, very aware that they're leaving this place.
Yes, oh man.
But I don't know. I feel like New Leaf also kind of gave them that storyline where it's like, oh, I wonder where I'll be built next time. So maybe they've got like some sort of reincarnation thing going on.
Nice.
Yeah, that way we're not too devastated.
Yes.
So I don't know. I guess I've struggled with this one, and I know, I feel like no matter what answer, except maybe, I feel like Tortimer might have been the most safe answer, Sergio. But I feel like no matter what answer you come up with in this one, you're gonna find somebody who's going to be upset.
Yes.
And so I was kind of between two characters here. The first one is, I don't know how many people will be upset with this one, but Dr. Shrunk.
Oh, I'm upset.
Well, there you go. You upset me with Tortimer. I upset you with Shrunk. So Dr. Shrunk here. I guess I don't know. I guess just overall, he's kind of not funny. I don't think he's funny. But I will say he does do a very important job, which is, give us our emotions. And
Mhm.
so I feel like he's not removable for that reason. But if I could remove him, I don't know. Maybe I would just change him too, because I do like the axolotl villager kind of thing. That I like his look.
Yes.
It's a very unique animal, and it's from Mexico. Represent. So I don't know. I feel like I have a hard time getting rid of him, but just overall his not funniness. I don't know. Whenever he comes up in Amiibo Festival, which I've been playing again for the tournament, I just
Yes.
I don't want to deal with him. I don't like what he does in that game, but I do like what he does in New Leaf and the previous games,
Yes.
Wild World and City Folk. The other one, and I think more people are going to be upset with me for this one, but Katrina.
Oh.
So Katrina, she's a fortune teller, of course, and I think I just don't use her feature really.
Mhm.
I used it to some extent in New Leaf just to get the special items that you could only get from her,
Yes.
which were the Pharaoh's mask, for example.
Mhm.
But after that, I don't really use her, and I mean, when I do, I figure out that I'm having bad luck, and if I run around, I'll trip and fall. And
Yes.
I don't really notice it if I have a bad luck day because I don't usually run because I don't want to destroy my flowers,
Right. Right.
And so she's the only one who really lets me know because you cannot trip and fall if you're not running. If you're just walking, you're fine. And maybe if they changed that, if you were walking and tripped and fell, that would make me use her
Oh.
more because then I'd go and get that lucky charm or whatever. Lucky
Yes.
charms. But the other thing she does, and it's powerful, but I just have never pulled it off. And the other thing she does is she'll tell you what piece of clothing is your lucky thing to wear
Yes.
that day. And then most of the time, I just don't have it. It's not available in the store.
Right.
So it's not like I can take advantage of that anyways. But if you get lucky, because this has never happened to me, I've never been able to take advantage of it. But if you do get lucky, and I guess that's the point. You have to get lucky for it to be your lucky item. But if you are lucky and you have the lucky item, it does double things like bells that you'll collect from trees, bells that you'll get from the money rock.
Mm.
And that's the main kind of benefit from it. But like I said, it's never worked for me because I've never had the piece of clothing on the day that she told me about it. And then I'm just like, oh, whatever. I can't do this.
No. Right.
So,
Right.
so yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's cool. You get your fortune told. It's nice. It's glamorous. You go through a whole little show thing. It's one of the few cutscenes in Animal Crossing, sort of. So there's some coolness to it, but it's just unusable for me. So Katrina, I would cut her more than Shrunk, I think. But I know people are
Yeah.
going to be upset with that.
No, I mean, I definitely see your points there, and I feel like that's why Katrina works better the way she is in New Leaf. You see her little tent, and it's basically the very last amenity or building or that you are able to build. Well, it mostly takes a really long time, and I think that's for the best because it's really not something that you need every day. It's a nice thing, but like you said, even to make it work, you would have to go to her place at the very beginning, if you want to take the most advantage of the extra money. So it's not the friendliest feature, but maybe she could do something else.
Yeah, and I'll even argue like it's even harder at the beginning when you just started playing the game and you
Yeah.
don't have any items, let alone every single piece of clothing in your closet. I want to say there's not enough room in your storage to hold every piece of clothing in this
Yes.
game. We need a storage expansion, Nintendo. Just making a mental note there for you guys. Letting you know. um, so yeah, I don't know. It's hard to get her, like you said, 20 weeks, I think at minimum.
Mm.
Because you do have to, I think, have your fortune told. Actually, you can make it go faster. You can have extra characters and they'll have their fortune told. Essentially, you need a fortune told in your town 20
Oh.
times. And
Hmm.
so, if you have one player, you don't play with anybody, it's going to take you 20 weeks because she only comes once a week. If you have 4 players, it will take you 5 weeks. If you have 20 friends, it will take you 1 week because you can just have 20 friends come over and then get their fortune told, and then you're
Nice.
good. So that's the fastest way to get her, but it's not worth it. It's just not worth it. Yeah, well, this was a good question. I really like that.
Yeah.
I'm hurt by you, Sergio. So I had to hurt you back.
Oh.
It's not personal. It's just really personal. All right. So, like I said, we're taking listener mail, and this one was a really nice email that we got. The next ones I'm going to read to you. I guess we can go back and forth, Sergio,
Sure.
since these are just comments that listeners had. And Indy Sarah commented, "Just a belated happy birthday to Jackie."
Yeah.
So, yeah, Jackie is, of course, my partner in life, and yeah, it was her birthday recently, so I'm sure she'll be happy to get that.
Yeah, definitely. And next we have a comment by Missy Jones. In the fall, if we could grow pumpkins and then have the choice to sell or craft them into jack-o'-lanterns, that would be cute. Yes, definitely. I mean, more options the better, and that just makes a lot of sense with pumpkins.
I want that so bad. And so, okay, I think the other day on Discord, people were having a discussion about like seasonal crafting materials, and
Yes.
this would make sense to be kind of a seasonal crafting material. And it would make sense to have even more seasonal crafting materials like Toy Day or the Harvest Festival, because
Yes.
then we could spend the time, craft these things, decorate our towns. Oh my goodness. To make a
Oh.
themed town during the holiday would be absolutely incredible. This whole game, like the dynamic of being able to essentially decorate with any piece of furniture outside in the real world, it's going to really change up how we
Oh.
approach our towns, especially during the holidays. So you can trust that I'm going to be making my place look very spooky in Halloween.
Nice. That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, so I love that comment because I thought it was adorable. So Boo Bumpkin said, "Your local botanist here to say that the difference between fruits and vegetables is that fruits are literally the fruiting body of a plant. It's seeds that turn into flowers and then swell into fruit. A vegetable is like a carrot or a potato, both of which are the root of the plant, not its flower. And strawberries are odd because each seed on a strawberry is technically the fruit, and the fleshy red part is a swollen perianth, the green cup-like part that holds a flower."
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, I'm really glad we have a botanist listening to our show so we can learn more about fruits and veggies. So, cucumber is a fruit.
Man, that
um,
this is very informative. This is awesome.
yeah. So, because we had that discussion last week, and I'm
Yes.
really glad somebody answered our question. So now we know why strawberries are not berries, um, which is weird. They're called strawberries.
Yeah, they're very unique.
The whole name of it is a lie. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and get into the questions, and this should take the rest of the show. We have a lot of questions that came in, and they're all pretty fun and get me really excited for this game,
Yes.
too. So the first question was from Yogi Bear, and they asked, "Are you going to keep the tent or build the house? So,
Mm.
Sergio, what are you doing?
Oh man, there's a lot to this question because hopefully, if you keep the tent, that means that you're able to relocate wherever, right? If that's the case, I'm definitely keeping the tent at least for a good chunk of the first time in my island. The ability to just live wherever until your town is more developed and you kind of settle down on a place. Okay, now I do need a house. Now I know where to put it. Now I can build it. I love that feature already. I mean, we don't know if that's the case, but I'm really hopeful that it is.
Yeah, okay. Now I'm thinking about it more because that's a very good point. So the tent, I feel like the fun of Animal Crossing is definitely paying off your debt and building up that house. I think that's like tends to be the main goal for me. It tends to be the big thing that I'm working toward a lot of the game. But now, because I've had my worries, like from what we've seen, there's not really a way to get up to the cliff area in your island at the beginning, you know?
Yes. Hmm.
And then on top of that, like there's no confirmation that I'm going to talk about trees again, that you can plant cedar trees, the pine trees, on the lower parts of the island. So thus far, my suspicions are that they will only grow on that higher part. So naturally, I'm going to want to build up at the top of the cliff, and it's just not an area that seems accessible at the beginning, you know?
Yes. Hmm.
And so if you could indeed move the tent, then wow, that's a big superpower for that. And that's like, that's something I just want in general. Like, whether it's a tent or a house, I want to be able to relocate because we've always just been stuck with our choice from the very beginning of Animal Crossing. That's always how it's been. Population growing, you move into one of those 4 houses in the little square area, that plaza.
Yes.
Wild World, you all move into one house once and I feel like it's just there. Like it's you don't really have a choice. I forget.
Right.
I think I'm gonna have to start another file and double check that. See, try to remember how it works. And I'm actually, yeah, I have a plan to do that. So I'll find out. I'll come back with the information on that next time. I
Oh,
don't
nice.
know if it's gonna be next week, but it's definitely gonna be one of the next times. But then City Folk, you also, like the 4 houses were always visible there that you could pick from.
Mhm.
And so once you picked one, that's where you were. And then New Leaf, of course, you plot your own house. And then once it's there forever. And then you find out in the southern half of the map, it doesn't grow cedar trees and
Oh.
you're bummed the rest of the time. And you've had that town for over 6 years. So there's no deleting now, no going
No. Yeah.
back. Yeah, so anyways, like I just want to be able to move my house. I think that's cool. I don't if it's locked to the tent, fine, it's okay. It still gives me some chance to like back out of what I had done to myself.
Yeah, yeah,
um,
and it's a bit of a double-edged sword because the tent is gonna be the smallest living space for you. You cannot expand it because you plan to move it around. So you're gonna be limited on space, but if your focus is on your town, I can definitely see the appeal to just have your tent and move or whatever until you kinda settle down on a town layout and then you pick where you wanna build your house.
yeah, and of course I feel like that also changes things if we can downgrade our places.
Yes.
And so if we can move backwards and go all the way back to a tent just to move our place, I mean, I might do that. Like if I really felt strongly about it, I would do
Yes.
that. Yeah, but I don't know. I think end game for me, I definitely want a house though,
Oh yes, yes. Hmm.
because Animal Crossing, it's a very unrealistic game. Like you can own a house in this game. Like I don't know anybody who could pull that off in real life. So yeah, I feel like it's a dream come true.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so let's go ahead and move into our next question. This one is from Harabel or Jarabel, whichever one. You can correct me. I was just listening to the podcast and had this idea. What about if New Horizons has something like recruiting special characters for different jobs that they have. Like, for example, you recruit Isabel for shopkeeper instead of secretary, something like Happy Home Designer, but much more detailed.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I guess we've talked about jobs before, and I've talked about like how fun it would be for villagers to have jobs, and I mean, so far this game looks like villagers would truly benefit from having some sort of job, some sort of income, because we do know that they're going to start in tents just like us. So they're going to have to make money, they're going to have to pay off their debt, and they're going to have to upgrade their homes. So we've talked about in this sense of like villagers having jobs, but we've never really thought about it like being able to assign special characters into something completely different than they've ever done.
Right.
Which I'm torn about. I'm going to be honest. I'm torn about it because
really?
I kind of want to see some characters in their classic roles. And maybe Isabel's one of those where I don't mind her being mayor. I feel like she deserves that kind of job because she does a lot of really great work, So, and Kicks, like his whole identity is built around shoes.
Yes.
So like Kicks and then Leaf also. So I don't know. I feel like some of them, I feel like they were built and designed with a certain job in mind. And now we do have some changing. Rossetti, his straight up name is Rossetti. And it was because he stopped you from resetting. And so, I don't know, it's hard to imagine their identities that are very well established, very part of their names, part of who they are, and then just say, yeah, let's ignore that. You can do whatever you want. So that's why I'm torn. But at the same time, I feel like I get it. I feel like they shouldn't be tied down to what they've always done, So I don't
Yeah.
know. What are you feeling, Sergio?
I agree with everything you said, definitely. But I think if it's up to the player, and even if it's like a last unlock type of thing, like you build your house, you fully paid it off, you played for maybe 300 days or so, or 500 hours, maybe then you want to start messing around with who does who, in who does what in terms of the jobs or running the shops, etc. And I feel like this could go either very basic, you can assign people and they still do everything the same, or maybe they have like a few quirks or special circumstances or characteristics, like maybe Isabel isn't too good with money, so if you put her in charge of a store, maybe she'll say, oh, I think you paid for that already, you can take it, or make a little mistake every now and then, and in different aspects for the other characters too. Or if Nintendo really wanted to, they could really take it very far and do something like Fire Emblem, and like the different characters have like special goals that they would want to. My dream is to run retail, so that could be I could train for that, and you could sort of assign them different classes or something. That's probably not gonna happen, but it could.
Yeah, and yeah, I do really like that, like a connection to Fire Emblem, because it is charming when the students come up to you and they're like, oh, I think I'd really good like this. And you're like, no, because you're doing whatever you want with them.
Yes.
You have a job in mind for them, but they almost get you sometimes.
Yeah.
They almost make you want to do what they want to do.
Yes.
But yeah, no, I think it's cute. I think it'd be cute to see them in different roles and see them change, but I've been playing this game so long, it's one of those things where I'm an old guy stuck in my ways. And this might be it, I finally reached it. I'm unchangeable.
Right. So I think if it's optional, I'm all for it. Because yeah, we can keep it our way. We can change maybe just one or two characters, or we can change everyone.
Yeah, I think it's fair if you could change everyone. Like, give somebody else Tom Nook's job. Maybe somebody you don't like as much. And then Nook can do a good job as somewhere else, and you can be like,
Yeah.
oh, Nook, you're so cute. All right, so the next question is from Nez, and they asked, would you prefer it if gold tools were made craftable, or if they remain obtainable through special events? Bonus question, how do you think the duration of gold tools will be handled in New Horizons?
Hmm.
So, what are you thinking, Sergio?
I'm thinking it would be best if both options are available. Maybe there is a very specific, like a sequence of events that you have to do, or a goal, if you will, and it's gonna take a little time, of course, but that would be a nice way to sort of guarantee that everyone is gonna get at least one each of the golden tools because they're pretty necessary and they're very convenient. But at the same time, if you're able to have them be craftable, same thing, it would take a lot of materials and a lot of time and maybe even bells, but it should be doable because it's happened. We lose them or we give them away. I recently gave away my golden axe and I didn't even remember until I needed it. So it's nice to have a way to get another one.
Oh man, that is a very good point. I hadn't thought of like just
Yeah.
accidentally selling
No.
them, or giving them away. Or just like drop. Maybe you left your tools on the ground. Some
Right.
animal came over and stole them. Not like a villager in your
Right.
place, because of course they'd be good, but some other person that you let into your town. But yeah, there. I guess you're totally right. There are ways that they could be stolen, and I feel like it's a good thing to have them being craftable. And now that you bring that up, I think I've got a good solution because for me personally, I'd really like to have them be like an item that we still get after a lot of goals have been accomplished, or it's a huge quest to get this legendary golden tool,
Yeah.
I think that's fun. I think it's part of the charm of Animal Crossing that you can work for a year on something, and then all of a sudden one day you luck out and you get that golden item, and then you're good to go. Like you have the best item in the game for this task.
Yeah.
So I do really like the slow game part of actually being able to get it. But I think like after you get it, maybe you get the crafting recipe for it. So if
Oh.
things go awry, if you lose it, I guess this kind of makes it a little bit of a easy way for new players to get them too. Like maybe somebody's just like, oh, I crafted a bunch of golden axes. Who wants one?
Oh, yeah.
So
Hmm.
I feel like maybe they'll want to avoid that kind of thing because these items are special.
Hmm.
But I think, I don't know, at some point, Nintendo, you gotta like give us a break. Like Animal Crossing's not a hugely competitive game. It's not really a big deal if you have an item or not. It's just like, please let us have cloud saves and let us have the items that we want to have and have some way to keep track of them. Like, there's like there's no major harm done for having items in this game.
Yes, definitely.
It's a very personal, fun, cute game, and it's not competitive. So I don't know. There's that. So I don't know. I could see them being against making them craftable just because they're supposed to be kind of treasured items, but
Hmm.
I want to see them kind of just be available in the off chance that you get rid of it and there's really no way to obtain it again.
Yes, definitely. And they could make it very hard to craft, even. You would need a lot of materials and a lot of bells, but the option is there, and that's what we want.
Yeah, that's true. And that is a good way to keep people from like farming them too much.
Yes.
Just
Hmm.
make it really hard to craft. So I'm for it. I'm for it for sure. And then that
Yes.
also, like, if you lose one, that just gives you another really cool quest to go on.
Yeah.
It'll be some time that you can make up in some way.
Yes.
So what do you think about them like being breakable? Like, would you rather have them be unbreakable, or do you want their durability to just, eventually wear out?
No, I think they should remain unbreakable, but it might be nice if they add a little bit of a specialness to the tools before them, the ones that can break. Maybe if you use them a certain day or in a certain way, they are better to use, than the golden ones. But again, the golden ones would be the ultimate unbreakable ones. So it would be nice to have some variety.
Yeah, that's true. That's how I feel about it too. It just feels like you go for this really legendary item and it better be unbreakable. um, because there's like that Majora's Mask quest for a sword, and it's so hard to get the sword, and then it just breaks on you after
Yeah.
like 100 swings or something like that, and you're like, oh man, that wasn't worth it. Cool. So let's go ahead and move on to this next question. This one's from Parappa Rappa, the Rappa. And they asked, do you think it would be cool for there to be more musicians other than KK? What do you think they would be, and what kind of music would they make? Maybe you could perform on this stage you build on your island or something. Those are just my ideas. I'd love to hear yours.
Hmm.
So what are you thinking, Sergio? Do you want KK to have some competition in town?
I think it would be nice. I definitely would welcome it. What I would prefer, if I mean, it would be nice to have new special characters that are all about music, but I don't know how many they would add. Maybe two or three at the most probably would be very good, and then maybe also have some of the existing special characters just get into music, and they can play. I would love to see anyone play the saxophone, and ideally, it would be cool if you go to Club LOL or wherever they end up playing in New Horizons, and you have no idea who's gonna be playing that night. So you could set aside, your 4 hours. Tonight I'm going to Club LOL and just enjoying music. I don't know who's gonna be in there. It kind of adds a little bit of mystery to it. If you get KK, great. If you don't, that's still great, probably.
I thought so when you were saying maybe somebody could play the saxophone, and ideally, I thought you were gonna end with it should be, oh shoot, who's that rabbit that looks like Ron Swanson?
Oh,
It should be, oh, why did I just lose his Gaston?
yes,
Gaston.
that's it.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
yes, that'd be great.
yeah, they get compared a lot. So no, yeah, I am 100% for more musical animals. I want to see more musical animals in the next game. I wouldn't mind if like KK got a whole band this time, because he's been doing like the solo thing for a very long
Yes.
time. He's always just like solo acoustic guitar, singer, songwriter kind of person, and then DJ, which DJs don't have bands, they have records. And then it would be cool if he just like implemented more characters, just more musicians. I think for him, I could see him doing like a 3-piece band. At first I was thinking like a 4-piece kind of band,
Mhm.
but no, he screams 3-piece to me. So yeah, that's what I would see him doing, and I would love that. I also like your idea of just like showing up and just seeing, oh, here's this cool new band to play here.
Yes.
Because I've really liked like the kind of musical scene that Splatoon builds up in its game, where there are tons of different bands and their songs play during the battles, and then they'll introduce new bands a little bit later in an update, which is fun. I think it's really fun to get like new music through that. Like, oh, there's a new band in town. Here's some new music for you to listen to.
Oh, nice.
So, and it'd be cool because I would buy a bunch of records in that game, then put them all over my walls because I always have to have a music room in my in my home.
Nice.
So yeah.
And you know who I see as a 3-man band? Definitely the OK Motors crew.
Oh
They
yeah,
totally
that's totally true. I could see them doing that for sure. Maybe just a bunch of 3-piece bands in this game.
Oh,
I think it'd be cool.
yeah.
All right, so we're going to continue our video game themed names, and this question is from Toadette. And Toadette said, do you think they will re-release all of the old Amiibo card series? I never bought any because they were kind of expensive for me feeling at that time, and I didn't like it that I couldn't see what 3 cards I was buying. But now I wish I bought them anyway, so I hope they do. I would love to hear what you think about it. And I do want to comment on this too, because I have a feeling Toadette's from Europe somewhere, and their cards were more expensive. They were about the same price as a pack in the US, but they had half the amount of cards. So
Oh,
yeah, it was a real bummer buying Amiibo cards for them. Because, they paid as much as we did for half of what we got.
right.
Which I think it was that way in Japan as well. Japan trading cards tend to be kind of on the lower side. I think Pokemon packs have like 5 cards. So and
Mm.
they're probably the same price as a Pokemon pack over here
Right,
that has
right.
10. So, or I think it's 10 or 11. I don't remember. I think it's 10 now, but it used to be 11.
Oh,
Um, so anyways, like trading cards can be really tough in other places. So here we did luck out. We got 6 cards for $6, so it was about $1 a card, and they paid us about $2 a card. So it's expensive. But what are you thinking, Sergio? Do you think they'll re-release all of these old Amiibo cards?
I hope they do, and I think if they do bring the cards back, they sort of have to bring them all back. It would be very difficult to bring just a few, and then people want to get their favorite villagers, and they're if it's not available, they're gonna have to resort to the old cards on eBay or elsewhere, and I don't think Nintendo wants that. I think they would rather sell new cards or a reissue of the existing cards. So I think it's either all of them at the same time or maybe just figures and no cards, which I really hope they do bring the cards. It's very special for Animal Crossing to have so many characters and villagers. I think it's nice to have them represented with card amiibo.
Yeah, I personally think the cards are more likely than the figures because I mean, I feel like there's still kind of a lot of figures out there for Animal Crossing. Which is funny because like the Smash ones went so fast, and the figures for Animal Crossing, maybe they like overcompensated a little bit. Maybe they made a lot more than were necessary, but the
Hmm.
cards were like they were gone pretty quickly. And they got really hard to find very quickly.
Yes.
So
Hmm.
if you didn't like get in right at the beginning where people were trading constantly for the cards they wanted, then it's really hard to find them now. Like they're all very expensive. Like if you want to get like just 1 or 2 characters, I think it's worth it to like spend the money on those. But
Right.
if you're not, I'd say just stay out of it right now and wait for them to bring out more cards. But I feel like it's more possible just because like Nintendo started as a card company. They're good at making cards. I feel like cards are easier to print and make and ship out, and you can put tons and tons of them on shipments. And because you
Mm,
kind
yeah.
of, I guess I kind of know this because of where I work, but when you pay things to get like shipped overseas or anything, you pay for the amount of space that it takes up, not so much the weight of it, not so much
Mm,
the amount of things there are in there. You just
yes.
pay for space on some cargo ship. So you could really fit a lot of cards in a little amount of space, you know?
Yeah.
So I feel like it's not the most expensive thing to produce or even ship out to places. So I think that's the benefit there with cards, but then also like there are 450 of them currently. At least with the base sets, I'm not counting like the Sanrio one, and then the special cards
Mm.
from Amiibo Festival and the Japan only cards. But overall, I think if you want to get people to benefit the most from Amiibo in the game, you put out the cards. Everybody, like, if you get 1 pack of cards, that's 3 to 6 cards right there. And that's
Yes.
3 to 6 Amiibo, essentially. So, and if they're all going to be, like, if Amiibo are going to be usable in this game, which we already have confirmed that they are
Yes.
from the developers, that it makes sense to put them out there again just because there's so many people who are new to the game. There's so many people who missed out. And if there's so many amiibo to use that it just makes sense to put out the ones in the format that came out the most, you know? If that makes sense. Since they're like 400 plus cards, it makes sense to put out the cards.
Yes, definitely. And even if they have to do it staggered again, it's still better than not getting the cards at all. So here's hoping.
Yeah, we need them. I don't anymore. I have them all. I got real lucky. I paid way too much for the last ones I needed. All right, so the next question is from Dragon, and he asked, how would you feel if diving doesn't make a return? Would you miss it? Would it hurt the game with having one less potential pool of collectibles? Would they replace it with something else? Oh, Sergio, I'd hurt.
Yeah, definitely. We don't want to start hearing about removing features, especially from the previous game, something that was so cool. And again, it's a thing about being collectibles. We want to catch every sea creature. We want to fill that list. So if they remove something like that, something that is long lasting value to the game, I would be upset for sure. They might replace it with something else, but I just want that something else added. I don't want it replaced.
Yeah, I'd feel betrayed personally. I just feel like swimming is the main reason to go to an island, right? Like
Yes.
you got to go swimming on an island. So I feel like it makes sense to keep that feature. And like you said, it just takes away from a collectible, which was new to New Leaf. And it really added just some more variety to something that's been the same for the entire series. Like we've always had bugs, we've always had fish, we've always had fossils, we've always had paintings. And then we got, I guess, did they add the sculptures in New Leaf, or did any of those exist before? I don't remember. It was very hard
Mm.
to get the paintings, the art museum done. Um,
Yes.
but I will say, like, they added for sure the diving creatures, and that was really nice. It was a really nice change that I think gave us a little bit more to collect, a little bit more to work toward, and it would be a bummer to see it gone.
Yes, and if I remember correctly, it's fewer sea creatures than fish or bugs, and it makes sense because it was a brand new collectible. So I think it's actually a good opportunity to sort of catch up with the other ones, in the amount of different sea creatures that you can collect.
Yeah, I'd love if they added more for that
Yeah.
collection for sure, because it was shorter, a shorter list. And on top of that, like we had all the really cute swimsuits, so yeah, give me some more
Yeah. Yeah.
swimsuits. Yeah. All right. So the next question is from Honey Oceans, and they asked, "Who is the most underrated NPC?" I'm really interested to know what you said.
I think it is Porter. I think
Oh.
he doesn't get enough recognition. The poor guy's stuck there. Well, at least in New Leaf, he's just there. He cannot leave to get a coffee or even a bottle of water. He's just there and nobody visits him, specifically him. They just go in and out of town. And I just feel like it would be nice if they had a feature where you can, bake or cook something for him. Just take it over and spend a few minutes with him. He deserves it. It would help him too.
You know what? You're totally right. I mean, people talk to him, but it's mostly to just be like, open my gates, man,
Yes.
or look, get the train here. I gotta go. So yeah, you're right. It's like you only really speak to him for a specific thing,
Right.
and my answer, I'll say, is kind of the same. Not Porter, but it's definitely under. I feel an underrated NPC. And I feel like Joan gets no love.
Oh,
She runs the stock market. She's the one who comes up and sells you some turnips. She's there every Sunday. And she's chatty. Like, if you talk to her to this day, like, she will go on and on and on about turnips and stuff and how she's been doing this for 70 years. um,
right.
but I feel like she's underrated mostly because she's like the biggest money maker for players in the game.
Hmm.
Um, the stock market is truly what you do if you want to earn some bells in Animal Crossing. I've got, I don't know, I never really went for tons and tons of money in Animal Crossing. Like I never got the ABD for my place, right? Which was
Hmm.
like 100 million bells, in your bank to get that.
Yes.
I got to like 15 million. So, and I was happy. I never depleted that. So I'm rich forever. um, but yeah, I think just she gets no love, and she had a really cool mechanic with the red turnips, which was kind of the only farming that ever existed, and overall, yeah, she's just the biggest moneymaker, but nobody really cares about her.
Yeah, you're right because we just see her as the stocks lady, and that's all she is for a lot of people. But I'm sure she has a life, and throughout the week, especially, it would be nice to at least see her pop up at the roost, and find out what her favorite coffee is, or just talk to her for sure.
Yeah, and fun fact, she's for players like us who started with the first game, she's the second character that you see, maybe even the first character that you see from that cutscene. She's on the train with you.
Mm.
Um, No, second, because KK Slider introduces you
Yes.
at the beginning, or some other animal if you're the second person starting that file. So
Yes.
she's very early on in your sights, but yeah, all you got to do is like wonder, like, who is that? What do I do? Um, and you know what? Now that I think of it, I've never really played the stock market in the first game. I think I'm going to try that when I do
Oh,
another playthrough of this game. So I think it'd be fun.
nice. Yeah.
All right, the next question is from Danny DeVito. We have a star here. And they said, how did Chewie and Sergio meet? And this one made me really laugh because somebody responded, Tinder. I thought that was hilarious. So yeah, Sergio and I, we actually met on another Discord channel for a podcast called The Switchcast. And Sergio, you were always just hanging out there. You'd play
Mhm.
games with people. We'd talk Animal Crossing. And so yeah, I just started talking to you all the time because I needed somebody to talk about Animal Crossing with.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess what's your story of us meeting?
No, for sure. And then you introduce your plan. Oh, I'm planning on a Haken podcast for Animal Crossing. I was super into listening to it at first, and then I love the show. And eventually, you made the announcement you were looking for a co-host, and I knew I had to do it. And then I got sick, and I kind of had a cold, and I couldn't record like my audition tape, if you will. So it took me a couple of weeks, and I was hoping that you would still consider it. And I recorded it, you liked it, and, and here I am, 92 episodes later.
Yeah, it was great. We really liked it. Jackie and I listened to it together, and then I was just like, yeah, I really, because you told me that you did it all in like one go, and I was just like, man, you
Yes.
did a really good job, and that really minimizes the editing that I have to do
Right.
if you can just talk straight without too many errors, you know.
Yes.
um, so yeah, yeah. To this day, like I don't think I ever have really had to go in really in depth and be like, all right, we got to take this part out outside of like just some technical difficulties here and there, you know.
Yes.
But for the most part, like both of us, we just keep talking. It's smooth, and I just put it together, and it just works out. All right, so we've got a couple questions left. Let's get through these. Haley Smith asked, assuming we're getting at least one new species of regular animal villagers, what would be your top picks for what you want or think it will be? And I had a tough time choosing because, well, at first I was just thinking like, I'm between turtles and bats, or turtles and tortoises, you know, and
Yes.
bats. But then I thought, you know what? Technically, we don't have turtles. We just have a tortoise, and that's Tortimer. And Sergio already killed him off, so there's no more tortoises anymore. But I'm going with turtles. Like, I would love to see turtles. I just think they have a fun, they're cute. And then I like that they have shells that could have like fun designs and colors on them. So
Oh,
turtles are the ones for me.
nice. That's a good point. Definitely. I'm gonna go with foxes. I just want actual foxes. I know we have Red, but he's a special character. And Chief is sort of like a fox-looking wolf, but I just want actual foxes, and they could do different types or different species. But I feel it would be nice. It would be a nice sort of variation to the wolf species, and it's a common animal species, so for sure it would be very nice in Animal Crossing.
Yeah, that's true. I think I do remember reading somewhere that they had trouble picking new species for New Leaf, and we eventually got like deer and hamsters, right?
Yes.
And if they're having trouble, like dig into those existing species that are special characters that you haven't made
Yes.
more of. Like foxes are awesome. I'd love to have more foxes in the game. Uh, I don't know. I just think there are a lot of options there to pull from, and I don't think they need to be a unique species anymore. You
Yes,
know?
definitely.
Especially considering like in New Horizons, it's going to be very dependent on like how we play, whether or not we see a lot of these characters. So maybe we'll never see some of them. So you might as well have a villager that's a fox.
Yeah, and at the same time, go ahead and make new special characters that are from, regular species. More cats, more dogs, that's fine. If you want to explore a little bit, but it doesn't have to be a brand new, never before seen species in the game.
Yeah, and we do already have like dog special characters and cat special
Yeah,
characters. So, yeah, keep that in mind as
yeah.
we prepare some more trivia questions for our 100th episode. um, awesome. So let's go ahead and answer this last question. This one is from Evan Walsh. This one came in on Twitter, and this was at underscore Evan Walsh underscore. And they asked, are there any special characters that you think will be cut from New Horizons, or any characters you think could come back after a break? So we kind of started with this conversation where we talked about who we would cut, but this is kind of different. Do you think there's any that would be cut?
Ah, would be cut. I think Harvey might be
Oh
cut.
man, twins. Continue.
Yeah, simply because we don't really know how the campsite is gonna work. There can't really be a campsite on an island. I mean, if they really wanted to, they could make it work, but I think it's very difficult. And the other, like any other potential cuts, they could still work. Even Phineas, I think he's a little bit at risk, but they could make him work. He could be in charge of the airport if he wanted to. Or in also Lottie, I think Lottie is safe because interior design is just going to be present in the game no matter what. So I think if anything, it's going to be Harvey.
Yeah, I agree. Harvey it seems like the type of character to get cut. He was also such like a late addition to Animal Crossing,
Yes.
because it came in through an update, which is very a unique way to introduce a character. But essentially, an update came, Harvey was added, and yeah, like you said, it's hard to drive to an island. So it doesn't make complete sense to have like a camper type of place. And his name is a play off of RV. And like I was saying before, it's hard for me to think of these special characters in another role because they're essentially designed for the role they have.
Yes.
And Harvey, the RV guy, is one of those. Yeah, awesome. So let's get into our last segment of the show. And this is Haken's Islander Corner. So every week we ask our patrons on Patreon a question and we read their answers. This week's question was, do you want to be able to expand your island or not expand your island? No in-betweens here, Sergio. What about you? What do you think? Do you want to expand or not expand?
Yes, definitely. I want to expand the island, and I mean, ideally, it would be better if it's up to the player. If it's optional and you don't have to do it if you don't want to, perfect. But if you do, it might also be nice if you're able to decide which way to expand it. Maybe you really like, I don't know, the southwest corner of your town, and you want to keep it that way. You don't want to add like additional areas around it, so you can expand from there and go to the top right corner. So if you're able to choose a little bit at least how it expands, that would be great. And yeah, I just want more room. If we decide not to do it, that's fine. I don't know how much it might be possible to make your island smaller once you expanded it. If they can make that work too, even better.
Yeah, it would be really cool. I am also pro expansion.
Yes.
Just because I don't know, I've talked about like mostly just wanting more debt to pay off. So if I can add a big chunk of land way to the back of my island or
Yeah.
something, let me do it. I'm all for that. I will expand and make it wonderful.
Yes.
All right, so let's go ahead and go back and forth. I'll actually start because there's a long one that I will have to read if I start. So the first answer is from Medi, and they said, not expand. So I can plan everything out without having to think about my island getting any bigger.
Mm.
Hopefully, it's big enough from the get-go, but if it's the same size as the New Leaf map or smaller, I will snap. So this is a good point. So a lot of people really like to plan out their place and, things that are kind of get in your way sometimes, like villagers moving in where you don't want them to, that could kind of ruin the plans that you had going. So I think Medi makes a good point with this, like non-expansion plan, just because like if you have this whole place planned out and then all of a sudden this new area is added to it, how is it going to fit in with what you already have there, you know?
Yes,
So
definitely.
there's some extra work with that. Yeah, what are you thinking?
I agree. I definitely see the concern there, and that's why I'm thinking if you're able to expand, maybe at least you can decide which way to expand to the left, the right, the top, or maybe the bottom. Or if they could sort of make it work around the middle and they just spread whatever you have around your town, it would be very difficult. Unless ideally they would just let you replace everything whichever way you want, which would be very difficult, because everything's already built at that point. So for this fact alone, I can definitely see why some people don't want to expand the town. Whatever they see from the beginning, they know that's all they're gonna get. They might, like we said, you might have to unlock the upper portions of the island, but eventually you'll get there, and it's that still you're already seeing everything you're gonna get, so you can plan everything out. I can definitely see that.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
So Neflina says, I would love to expand my island since the main one we saw in the direct is quite small. To put 8 players and all the villagers, but also the shops. It would be fun if the island had different settings, like a foresty island, a desert one, etc. Ah, that's a good point. Maybe the expansions are going to be different themes. And it would be nice if you could even customize the way you tie them in together. But so yeah, Neflina is all for the expansion, and it's it's so difficult. But I think I do still want to expand the island.
Yeah, I think overall I'm for expansion, and this is a pretty unique way to do it too, like being able to choose a different type of environment for your place for sure.
Yes.
But at the same time, I almost feel like that fits a little bit better with like having a separate island, or having
Mm,
another island that you unlock to do different things with. But who
yeah.
knows? Who knows how that'll work? So this is the long answer. This is from Newt. She always likes to write a lot, and I'm glad I could fit this one in for this time. So she said, I'm not sure on how we'd be able to expand our islands, other than having pieces of it being locked behind a paywall like that upper cliff we've seen. And although I'm not opposed to expanding the island, I don't know if I want a part of the existing island to be locked like this. I think we're already getting a way of expanding our islands by having to build tools to unlock other areas, like getting across a river without a bridge because we can't build a bridge yet, or maybe having to make a slope, ladder, or staircase to get up a cliff, if it'll be a possibility. I
Mm.
don't know if I'd like to add landmass to my already existing island, because it'd feel fake, and just like we can terraform as we feel like. Maybe, like someone else said, we could unlock another island to be in charge of. Maybe this is a thing that could happen, seeing as there's only one island per system this time around. Having more islands, smaller ones mind you, to be in charge of could be a nice in the middle for those of us with multiple copies of the game for previous systems. That's a long wall of text, just saying I'm not opposed to expanding our island, as long as it's done in a good Animal Crossing way.
Mm.
Man, there's a lot here. So, yeah, I mean, there are definitely some good points where I feel like it has to feel natural to the world for sure.
Hmm.
Because I feel like Animal Crossing fans, they do tend to worry with new games whether it's going to feel too different or if something's going to feel like, oh, Animal Crossing doesn't really work that way, so it doesn't make sense to do it that way. So I definitely understand those concerns, you know?
Yes, I agree completely. It would really take a lot of the magic away if it just happens without a lot of reason, a lot of explaining. It just has to make sense, and we know what makes sense in Animal Crossing, so it's gonna be very interesting the way they do it. Maybe, what if you wanted to dig underground and just build like a bunker with stores? But I don't know. I kind of don't want to see that either.
Yeah, that would be kind of weird. But but yeah, overall, it does need to feel natural if we can expand. But there's some man-made islands out there. It can be done.
Yeah, yeah.
And Nook has a lot of money. We give him a lot for sure. Um, cool. So you want to read the next one?
Yes, the next one is by Winnie World, and their answer is The ability to expand the island isn't something I could see them explain very well in Animal Crossing. The ability to unlock other islands that you could travel to and are also in charge of sounds very cool to me though. And an alternate way of expanding and still giving the ability to gain more space if wanted. Yes, like Newt said, maybe different islands. It could be smaller ones. They could somehow be sort of close to your island so that it doesn't feel like you're traveling too far, and it kind of makes sense what you would also be in charge in, maybe why the villagers from your main island are also able to visit. That would be nice, and then those could be either different themes or the same one if you wanted it to. I also really like this approach as well.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's true. Like having a different island that you travel to feels like it's already built into the game in some way, with like speculation about how Nook Miles work, for example. And we do know we're flying into that place. So flying
Right.
to another island seems possible. So I think it does make sense for the world.
Yes. Mhm.
All right, so our last answer is from Kayla Rummel, and they said, just depends for me. If we start out with the size we saw at the demo, then yes, a million yeses. In my opinion, it was far too small. But if I had it my way, I would want to just start off with a big map, much bigger than the treehouse demo, so I can plan out my town layout from the beginning. I really do think it was a demo size because in my opinion, the demo map would be the smallest map we've gotten in the series, and that would be sad. And I mean, I don't know. It's like, I don't think we have a good gauge on how big this map is yet, you know? And we only saw like a very small portion of it during the treehouse.
Right.
And yeah, it's just hard to tell like how much space we're going to have, how much space we're going to feel like we need once we actually play this game, you know? And I do want to remember that we did just see like a demo version, something that was built to be shown in some way. So I don't know, maybe we didn't see what it really is going to look like.
Yes, that's true. It's very possible that that was a smaller town on purpose because, like you said, it was a demo. It's hard to tell, and it's also hard to tell if how big it really is the one that we got to see. So it's difficult. I mean, I feel like most of us want a bigger island than what we saw. But at the same time, like you said, we haven't even really been able to explore the whole island the way it is. So it's difficult. Hopefully, this is something that they address whenever they show the game next. I feel like it's a big concern for a lot of people. So hopefully, Nintendo is aware of it and they're gonna really go in depth as to how big the island is and if it does have expansions or not.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot to learn about this game. Like, we really have just scratched the surface with what we've seen so far. So
Yeah.
I'm excited, Sergio. I can't wait to see this. All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Haken, an Animal Crossing podcast. Don't want this episode to end? Well, you can keep the conversation going by Nintendo switching over to our Discord. Just follow the link in the description, and you can talk with other people who love Animal Crossing as much as you do, including Sergio and me. Want to support the show in a bigger way and get your voice heard during the show? Visit patreon.com/ChewiePlaysNintendo. You can support our show with just $1, have an episode dedicated to you, get special access to a secret room on Discord, join in on on any of the Haken Islander corners, and even read a monthly newsletter covering all things Haken and Chewie Plays. We really appreciate your support and put your money toward great things on the show. Tuned in on YouTube? The comments are a great place to let us know your answers to the Haken Islander Corner. Do you want to expand the island? Let us know. If you dig what you hear, please KK slide over to the review section on your platform of choice. Let people know what they're missing out on. Haken is a wild production brought to you by Chewie, Sergio, and all of our patrons. We thank you for listening, and we hope you have a great week.
Goodbye, everybody.